Have you ever traveled alone somewhere to a place that was so different? You didn't recognize anything there. Not the people, not the food, not the language. Everything was so different. But oddly enough, as the days kept going by, you felt like you were home. You felt like you could establish yourself here and that you can pick off your old life and continue it here. Traveling alone to another country can be one of the most terrifying, insane, amazing experiences in your life. My name is Ilcius, and I'd like to tell you about my solo trip to Montreal, Quebec, Canada that I did last year in 2019. I'm going to be walking you through a day in my trip that was truly terrifying for me, but at the moment, it was so exciting because I got to tackle on new experiences. Being a couple of miles away from home was really terrifying at first. It really didn't dawn onto me until I opened Google Maps to see where the nearest gas station was, and I saw that I was on the other side of this continent. I was in a place where I've never been to before, and I was also in another country that I've never been to before. My first outing in Montreal felt like I was on another planet, but it felt oddly familiar as well. The main reason why I was in Montreal was because I was attending a conference called LANGFest, which is a language/polyglot convention. I'm a huge language nerd myself. I speak 6 languages, but I use 4 languages in my daily life. I use English, Spanish, French, and Portuguese. And even though the majority of Canada speaks English, I was in Quebec. Quebec is a French speaking majority part of Canada. People there will prefer to speak to you in French. Montreal is a super bilingual city. A lot of people can understand both English and French to a certain extent. But it was still pretty terrifying trying to speak French only. Because my thought process behind that was that, okay, I am in Quebec and I'd like to respect the culture of the people here. I'd like to speak their language in order to show them that I respect their culture and also to further my studies and my experiences with the language itself. One of the first things that I did in this outing was meet up with other people that were attending the same conference at a local bakery that was not too far from where I was staying. Before heading into the bakery, I was practicing my order in French because I was so set on just speaking French in Montreal. I kept telling myself, like, okay, you're going to say this in French, you're going to order this, it's going to go great. I walk into the bakery, I stand in line, I wait for my turn, and as soon as I get there, I completely freeze. When the person asks me, Qu'est-ce que vous voulez? I completely froze. I did not know what to say. I just gave him a huge blank stare. And finally, what came out of my mouth was, Je voudrais un pain au chocolat, s'il vous plaît. Which is, I would like a chocolate croissant, please. Which is not what I wanted at all. It was just the first thing that came to mind, and I just went with it. I still laugh about that experience to this day, and I love telling people about it because a lot of people who are learning languages are so scared to speak it with other native speakers. And I always refer back to this story and I tell them you have to just be confident and just know that everyone is here to help you. And even though I've studied French before coming to Montreal, I was still super nervous speaking it because really I took 3 years of French in high school, and everyone knows that high school French pretty much just goes out the window as soon as you leave high school. Before going to Montreal, I was looking at a lot of videos in French. I was reading a lot of French literature, but that didn't save me from being super nervous. But as I started walking into more shops, meeting more people that were attending the conference or more locals, I started to get more comfortable with speaking French and more comfortable with my surroundings as well. Everyone was so kind and helpful. Everyone in the language community is always up for helping other learners as well because we all have the same goal. Putting yourself out there and making new friends in a new place that can make you feel like you're home. Getting to travel alone to another country and meet new people and surround yourself with situations was an amazing experience. I was really terrified at first. I didn't know what to expect, but as the days kept rolling by, I started to really just get more comfortable with the people that I was surrounding myself with, as well as the city. because I truly did feel welcomed with the city. The new people I met in the city, whether they were locals or just people who weren't from Montreal or Canada at all, made it really feel like I was home because I was surrounded by people who had similar tastes that I have. I was surrounded by language nerds like me, and it felt really comforting to be surrounded by a lot of people like that in a place that I've never been to. As I mentioned earlier, it felt like being somewhere super foreign at first. It felt super different because even though Canada and the US are pretty similar in culture, they still have their huge differences, especially when you go to Quebec, where they speak French. The thought of traveling on our own sometimes can terrify us because we're going somewhere we are not familiar with. Maybe we're going somewhere where we don't speak the language at all, where we don't know anything about the culture, but it's definitely a beautiful and eye opening experience. And we must not be afraid of the unknown because we really need to put ourselves out there and just say, screw it, I'm gonna do this by myself and I'm gonna have a fun time.